Good afternoon, morning. It's Saturday. But I'm just going through some email and I get my emails from Social Security. It's like a little blog area or something similar to that. It's called Social Security Matters, but it's from the SSA. And it was just a good little reminder. It's dated August 10th, 2023. It's a reminder to women. It specifically says women. I'm not sure why there was this cherry picking of the genders, but they're talking about the benefits that Social Security will give to women. And this was probably far more important years ago when, you know, the percentage of women working now, it was so different. And the choices maybe were not as much as they are now. But anyway, they discuss a few things before they get into the things that women need to recall or remember or just take note of. Because the marriage rates are falling, less people are getting married. That means that fewer women are in a position to claim spouse and survivor benefits, because you can only do that if you've been married for, in some instances, 10 or more years. And of course, survivor benefits will also depend on a particular time frame. Although it doesn't necessarily have to be 10 years. Obviously, that same falling marriage rate damages men as well, because they're not going to be able to get spouses or survivor benefits. And as we know now, a lot of women make more money than a lot of men. So this can go both ways. So I'm not really going to kowtow too much to the gender cherry picking here. But they do point out there's a couple important points for women to consider when planning to apply for Social Security benefits. They remind us that if you claim as soon as you're eligible, such as at age 62, your benefits can be reduced by up to 30%. And they remind you that if you have other benefits that will not be reduced in the same way due to the date you take it, such as, and they mention other 401ks, IRAs, etc., that might help you delay from 62 to at least maybe 67 or 70, or any year after 62 is going to be bigger than the year 62 amount you're going to get. And if you take it, you're going to have it forever, right? So you suffer that 30% discount forever. That amount reduces all the way up to age 67, where it would be your full amount if you waited to 67 to get it. And I say 67 because that's most people's full retirement age right now. And we have no laws in place that are extending that at this point. Yeah, so they're just kind of throwing out an idea that if you can wait to collect it and not collect it at 62, you're going to have a much healthier retirement income. Okay. They have also point out that delaying can make sense if you're in good health. If you're in poor health, it might make sense to claim at 62 or earlier than full retirement age. And just to speak the obvious, that's because if you're in poor health and you don't think you're going to be living to, say, 80 years old, which is when it would all kind of break even, maybe you would take it early. I know we brought up in a different video that sometimes people have no choice but to take it early because of poor health. They simply can't work any longer. And I pointed out in that keep in mind that if you do take early due to poor health and you can't work full time, even if you can work part-time under certain amounts, you can file for Social Security disability potentially at the same time you're collecting early. So don't feel like it's one or the other. Really, really important to know. And if you prevail on your disability claim, your early retirement is going to boost up to full retirement amount and you're not going to suffer that discount. So keep that in mind. Let me know if you have any questions on that particular point. They talk about spouses benefits. Married people are eligible to claim spouses benefits and are eligible to claim their own benefits if they work for at least 10 years. So notice that they say and are eligible. Eligible doesn't mean you're going to get both. It means you can have one or the other. And usually it's going to be the higher one of the two. Okay. You're not going to get both amounts stacked on top of each other. Let's see. Even if you haven't worked the 10 years, you can still do the spousal benefit. You just won't have one of your own to be eligible to pick from. Surviving spouses. If you have survived your spouse, you can claim survivor benefits. This can be up to 100% of your deceased spouse's benefits. So the question you have is, when would it be 100%? It'll be 100% if you don't collect that survivor benefit until you're of full retirement age. You can collect as early as 60, but it's going to be, I think it's 71.5% permanently off that deceased spouse's record. So if you can wait because you're not retired of retirement age yet, then the suggestion may be to consider continuing to work till at least full retirement age, so you can nail 100% of the deceased spouse's benefits. If your own benefit is going to be greater than your surviving spouse benefit, you don't want to collect your own early, right? Because that's going to be the one that's going to grow the most and you can get the most later when you're no longer able to work. But one good thing is you can collect a survivor benefit without implicating or triggering an automatic, have I filed for my own? So that's not something that would happen if you collected spousal benefits. But if you collect survivor benefits, partly the dogs are going a little nuts, that's something you can do. And not implicate your own. If it's going to be bigger, can keep growing. Yeah, there's some construction going on outside. It's a little loud. Lovely on a Saturday morning, right? They talk about divorce, and if you're divorced, but your marriage lasted technically until that divorce finalization came through for 10 years, you could file a spousal benefit or even a survivor benefit off that ex-spouse's work record at a particular time. 62 generally, but again, it's going to be discounted. So instead of getting the full amount you would have gotten under his record, which would be 50%, you're going to get something less. So if you took it 62, you're probably only going to get 35% or so of what his amount is. So always consider when you start taking things. The general rule is the longer you wait, except never exceed the age 70, the more you're going to get. For spousal, you're never going to get more after 67. So, so I guess I would say full retirement age is the general magic number, unless you're collecting on your own, and then 70 would be better than that. Okay. They urge you to plan early. They recommend that everyone start planning 10 or 15 years before you retire. That means I got to do it like right now. They encourage everyone to get their own My Social Security account. I believe you could probably still go to ssa.gov/my account to get to that. That's where you have to connect yourself with the information so they can confirm, the system can confirm that you are who you are. Then you can get in there, you can see your earnings history, and you can see if any years are missing that you filed a tax return for, or you worked and paid taxes. It'll tell you what your estimated benefit will be when you retire, or if you were to become disabled. Also what your family max would be. So those are really helpful things. If you file a claim for disability, I believe you can't get that particular information. You can get the earnings, and that's really important. So you're going to want to get that regardless, because there's things that are going to be evident from your earnings record that is going to be, can implicate how you file your Social Security disability claim. So I would get in there. If you find you can't get in because some information is lacking. For instance, you might think that your last name, your married last name, is the one that's in the Social Security files, but you forgot that when you got married, maybe you changed it, or you did change it when you got married, but then you got divorced and you changed your driver's license, but you never changed your Social Security card. You're going to want all those things to jive, because otherwise it could be a big hang up with collecting benefits, because they need to make sure we are who we say we are. Okay. Anyway, that is what they wanted to remind us about. And again, they geared it towards women. I find that a little annoying at times. And I know we all probably have different opinions on that. So, but this would apply to men and women. Okay. And, all right. I hope that helps. Just a little reminder there of all the things you need to think about. Take care now. Bye.